Okay, so when it comes to the whole the chats and everything, so I had one view, I showed it to my wife, she had a different view, I showed it to a couple of friends, they had an entirely different view. And what it came down to is I remember even us having a chat with Peter about it, and he also had a slightly different take on the whole thing. And what ultimately, I reach a conclusion when it comes to something like this is
I completely get why people don't like Horner. And I understand that, like, especially with last year with the allegations, the way they cleared him is a little bit suspect. Like, I get all of that.
Okay,
And if we're
look,
just
because
talking about
we
that.
also have a few people and they commented about this in the last one. Let's
Yeah,
talk
go for
about
it.
the whole investigation a bit first,
Yeah.
because maybe it needs to be addressed. We've not really talked about it much in terms of the allegations and what happened. What's your take on the whole thing?
Like, to me, what seems to be the situation, if I had to give my take on it, is essentially that he got cleared because what he did is technically not wrong, right? Like, essentially, what it looks like they've cleared him is they were going after him for essential sexual harassment, which would have been a fireable offense. And what the both investigations came to was this was some sort of consensual relationship or consensual thing going on in the background. And
Maybe we
at some
don't really know the
point,
details, by the way.
we don't. And this is why I'm saying this is what it looks like from afar.
And we only
allegedly.
have access to chats, which were
Things,
some of which
things
were, by
that
the way,
Jos Verstappen put out, allegedly.
yeah.
So
And some of the stuff was photoshopped as well in that.
yeah, and there was a picture of a finger that people seem to think is a penis. And if your penis
Yeah.
looks like a finger, please see a doctor.
Good luck.
But yeah, like that's what it seems like is kind of the situation is he was basically cheating on his wife to an extent or in the midst of trying to cheat on his wife. Again, this is what it looks like. This is just my opinion. And essentially that she got annoyed at some point or it went too far at some point. Someone else latched onto this and went, great, and let's just, push this through. And they tried to push it through as quickly as they could. And both of the investigations came to, guys, this was a consensual thing. This isn't sexual harassment. And the most we could see this is like some sort of disciplinary action, but I can't, this isn't a fireable offense. So that's what it looks like to me. And even if you, even the messages that were leaked, if you look at them at the very beginning, it does seem like a situation of she was into it as well and then got cold feet and then everything kicked off. If those messages are real, that's what it looks like. And I know basically people be like, oh, well, you're just being a misogynist and, clearly she was his boss and this was, and it's like, fine, you can have that opinion. But on the basis of the investigation, if that is what it was, if that is the actual evidence that was there, then that isn't a fireable offense. And you may not like him, you may not like the actions, you may not like all that. But talking just pragmatically about firing someone, you cannot ruin someone's entire career over just, something that is alleged and that you don't have evidence for. And the problem, I think, is over the last 10 years, that has become the norm. It's been fire people, get rid of people, and then investigate. As people absolutely hate Kevin Spacey, right? And whether he did it or not, he was cleared of those allegations. Yet his entire career and money-wise situation was ruined.
Kevin Spacey is the
actor.
Yeah, okay, I remember now.
But my point is whether or not he did that, the whole point of the way
There's
we
this
work.
comedian as well, right?
There's been
Louis
a lot of
CK.
them. Yeah. Even Jeffrey Epstein apparently did nothing. So, but that's a different
This
conversation.
video
We're
is
not
going
getting
to
into.
have 5 views.
Yeah, or a lot of comments of people getting angry. But my whole point is the way
No,
we're
with
supposed
Jeffrey
to.
Epstein popping into the.
Yeah, the way we're supposed to set up as a society is you prove someone guilty and then you get rid of them. You're not supposed to be able to just I shouldn't be able to go and come up with some allegation against you. Your whole life gets ruined, and then later on go, oh, by the way, I have no proof. And that's essentially what they tried to do. And he was cleared, and that's why they couldn't fire him. So actually, in the case of Horner, it worked the way it was supposed to. And if you think that he was guilty of it, clearly there wasn't evidence because there was enough people there who wanted to get rid of him. And if there was evidence, he would have been removed then because they wanted him removed then. Yeah. So for people who I've seen go, oh, well, it's just because Red Bull covered it up and so on. It's well, there was enough people trying to get rid of him. So if they wanted him gone, they could have had him gone.
Exactly.
So I just don't believe it was just the Thai side. I think there was a lack of evidence as well. Whether he did something or not, maybe he did, but we don't have any proof that conclusively says it. So
Precisely.
That's
Good. You
that's my
summed it up.
thinking on it. Yeah.
Yeah. In
Shout at me in comments if you want to. Genuinely don't care.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So when it comes to the whole the chats and everything, so I had one view. I showed it to my wife. She had a different view. I showed it to a couple of friends. They had an entirely different view. And what it came down to is, I remember even us having a chat with Peter about it, and he also had a slightly different take on the whole thing. And what ultimately, I reach a conclusion when it comes to something like this is it can go both ways. There are people that can consider it one person maybe using his power for a exercising his power to have some kind of control over his
Sure.
over
Yeah,
a
yeah.
person who is below him, or maybe it's a consensual relationship, right? So when it comes to that, I'm not entirely sure how to form an opinion on when it comes to that. But the entire thing is, look, there's an and by the way, just to get
Just
one
on
thing
that
out,
point, they're
this is
sorry, go
only
ahead.
one proof. This is not the only proof that was there.
Yeah, yeah.
There were other things that were put out that were obviously not shared. This was the only thing that came out. Why? Because this was not flat. This was not a flattering look for Honor.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the
So
whole
I'm
thing.
sure, like, that's the first thing to keep in mind. Like, we don't have all the evidence, and the whole point here is like you can't just jump to the conclusion because there needs to be a balance. Because the problem I have is like
That's the whole thing with me, honestly. Because
if we go down the route of
I
just
hate only this thing that, and look, almost 80 to 85% accounts that have this opinion about Honor, they had this opinion before. And even if there are five more, you can say, court hearings and five more things happen, they will still have the same opinion. The
yeah, yeah,
reality is, when it comes to the public square, everyone already forms an opinion of the person based on
before
whatever superficial
yeah, yeah.
picture they have in their minds, and
Basically,
no
as
one
soon
can
as this
change
came
that.
out about Horner, there was people
Yeah,
who were like,
everyone made up their mind
there was
whichever
either
direction it
he
was.
didn't do it or he did it
Yeah,
immediately before
exactly.
any evidence.
Yeah.
So as soon
And
as
then there were some
that
Verstappen
evidence
fans who thought he didn't do it, but then they realized that Joss was involved, so then they thought he did.
he did, yeah,
So
yeah.
then that's
So,
also a
but this
category.
this is my thing where I just think like these things need to be taken seriously, and people need to stop just going, oh well, he clearly did it, because what happens is you're going to get to a situation which I think we're kind of getting to, and this is more society than just Red Bull, but
Yeah.
where like women who actually have these issues, right,
Yeah.
are going to feel like, oh well, I can't come out about it once again, because what's going to happen is everyone's going to see it as, oh well, that's just one of these allegations
The
again.
whole
And
Amber Heard Johnny Depp thing, right?
yeah, it needs to be a situation where these things are taken in a proper process of, okay, if it happened, let's prove it and let's take it seriously. But if someone if you're not able to prove it, then unfortunately the person can't be fired, because otherwise
Yeah.
what happens is anyone can just start throwing allegations around. And then we get to the situation, like I said, where no one believes any allegations.
Yeah.
So it has to be taken seriously in a balanced way. And look, you can have your opinions about him, but he was cleared. And
Yeah.
maybe the process is wrong. Maybe. But that's a different conversation. Like that,
Yeah.
that's a conversation you have to go and look at the process, So
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I kind of got pissed off when I don't know which account it was, a Ferrari fan who wrote that I don't want an alleged sexual harassment something offender being a part of Ferrari.
yeah, yeah.
And like, okay, let's have some person ultimately accuse you of something. Let's have you be investigated twice. Let's have you come out innocent, and then still call you an alleged thief. Would you be
Yeah,
fine? Would
yeah.
you be fine with
Well,
something like this?
simply if I go online and I just say, oh, someone told me that allegedly Verstappen's a pedophile, like, is that enough then to just remove him from the car seat while we investigate this? Like, no. Like, you have to do the investigation first. Otherwise,
Precisely.
we get the situation where a ton of people, which has happened because it went crazy over the past 20 years, of people just getting accused of stuff. They lose all of their career, jobs, and money. And then it turns out that a lot of the
There are
accusations.
so many examples of this, right?
Yeah,
And even in
some of them were
corporate
some of
lives,
them
we've
were
seen
real.
it.
Yeah, and some of them were real, and that was great. And it was great that like fucking weirdos like Harvey Weinstein got fucking accused
yeah,
and
Jesus
jailed and
Christ,
stuff,
yeah.
right? It's great that those people got held accountable. Although unfortunately, I think he's getting out on some technicality. But normally they got, but the problem with that is you get a
Prince
ton of
Andrews.
the problem with that then is you get a ton of people who get caught up in that who actually didn't do anything, but someone's looking for money and so on. I'm not saying this woman did that in that situation. I'm just saying this is why there needs to be a process, and we can't just go, well, he should be fired because he allegedly did something even though he was cleared.
Yeah.
Because that's just not a fair way to do things. Whether
Exactly.
you like him or not, there has to be a process.
Precisely. And now, since you kind of covered it, in case anyone has any questions or something regarding this, drop your views in the comments. Again, this is a very contentious topic. I didn't want to discuss it, to be honest, because everyone gets enraged and everyone has very strong opinions. But
It's just a lot of the media and
follower
everybody.
actually pinged me on X, and he kind of had a chat regarding this. And again, my views and his not entirely match. But at least we can have a conversation, right?
Plus, journalists like motorsport.com literally had an entire article being like, well, he should have been fired 18 months ago. You're like, for what?
Utter
like,
nonsense.
You
Seriously.
can't do that. Like,
Yeah.
But anyway,
You're
whether
playing
he
with
did it or
people's
not,
lives.
like,
Yeah.
this is, if he did it, he's a horrible person. And I don't particularly think he's a great person anyway.
He's a horrible person anyway,
Yeah, like-
because he was married and had multiple kids
exactly.
when he was behaving like that. So
he was
it's
basically,
done, yeah.
regardless of whether he actually did anything in terms of like contact, he was essentially cheating on his wife. So he's not a good person. Let's put it that
Precisely.
way. But the point is, you cannot fire someone for not being a good person. Otherwise, no one would be in most top jobs because, and there'd be no drivers either because most of them are not great
in
people.
F1, by the way.
Exactly. Yeah. So, like, you know, Bernie Ecclestone ran this sport for decades. If good people
Yeah.
couldn't be at the top, Formula One wouldn't exist. So
Precisely.
we can't fire people for being bad people. Like,
Yeah,
we have to
because
prove something.
Honestly, if you've been in the F1 paddock and you've heard stories about F1, oh boy, there's if you're looking for saints, the Formula One paddock is not the place to be.
If this is the reason Sergio Perez would not be coming back to the grid, which we'll talk about later. I mean, like, you know, there's
Boy, that Monaco win, huh?
yeah.